Oh, they had to do it to me. What's up, people? How you doing? Greetings. Welcome back to Blackbird News, where everything is connected. What's up? Feels like everybody's a little slow getting in here, but we're going to start the show anyways because it starts at noon, and I got things to do. Can't go all day. But thanks for being here. Those of you that are here, everybody's, I'm sure, coming in. Have a little bit of an announcement, or some might take it as a threat or something like that. I don't know. I'm in a couple of days, just giving you guys a couple of days heads up. All right, this isn't happening tomorrow. Please listen to the words that I'm saying, because I'm sure that people will not hear what I'm saying and then say something completely different. Please listen to the words that I'm saying. In a couple of days, I'm not sure how many, I will not be on X anymore. I'm going to cancel my subscription. I cannot support being shadow banned, and I can't support Elon, and I can't support Twitter anymore. I will be moving off of Rumble. I probably will be streaming to Odyssey. So in a couple of days, I'm not going to be on Rumble anymore. I'm going to go to Odyssey. That is in preparation for not being on YouTube eventually. Okay, I'm going to still be on YouTube. Probably will on Fridays, I'll do a non-YouTube day. This will be just for a little while. I want to just get people used to going somewhere else, other than YouTube and X and these, back in the punk days, we called them multi-death corporations. I'm just, I'm being suppressed, maligned, slighted. It's the suppression is, it sucks. It's I don't want to, wait against it if I, can. So, so probably going to go Odyssey, Telegram, and YouTube for a little while. And then we will practice not being on YouTube maybe 1 or 2 days a week for a little while, so that everybody can go to. I'm still going to be on Twitter. I'm just not going to pay for Twitter. I will announce my shows on Twitter. I urge you to get to the Telegram space. There's a link for Telegram in the description box. Go to the Telegram space. Just go there. It is a Black Bear News chat. It is a private chat for Black Bear News. It is a Black Bear News centric chat. You can go there. There will be updates there. There'll be posts there. I will, I have moments of not being on Telegram and moments of being on Telegram, but I'm going to try to be more active on Telegram. Anyway, so that's what I have to tell you guys about that. I'm not going to leave YouTube totally and completely right away, but we will practice going to another space, maybe Substack, maybe somewhere else. I don't know. I don't know. I want to be in places where I don't feel like algorithmically constrained and constantly fighting against this like uphill stream of it just is very tiring, whatever. Jesus be everywhere, extra bullet. That's what I got to tell you. All right. Well, what else is happening? Let's get in. I will make this announcement every single day for the next couple of days, so nobody will have any reason to go, "Hey, what's happening?" In a week from now, where did you go? I don't know. People asked the last time I went off of YouTube to Rockfin, people were like, "What happened?" I don't know. I told you every single day for 2 weeks that I was leaving YouTube and going to Rockfin. Somehow you just refused to hear that or listen to that. But whatever, you can't help people that are stuck on stupid. I don't know what to say. Yeah, it's true. Wayne the Pain is generally true. Everybody that leaves YouTube always comes back. I would have to say, can't argue with you on that one. They are all the same, generally, but I'm trying to avoid. I'm getting off Rumble this week. I'm gonna not stream on Rumble. I don't care about Rumble, and Rumble is Peter Thiel, and what I'm going to try and do is do Odyssey, Telegram, and YouTube for a little while. So I'm not leaving YouTube, but we're going to practice being not on YouTube once in a while. And we'll see if we can get everybody spoon-fed that way. It's not that hard. You just open up a tab on your browser in your phone or on your computer. You have one on your phone or your computer. You type in odyssey.com. You go to Black Bear News. You watch the show. It's really not hard. It is very simple. It's about the simplest thing you can do. I watch shows regularly on different platforms, on all platforms, and I don't necessarily use the app. You don't need to use an app for any of them. You can just watch in a browser. It doesn't matter what platform you're on. You could just open a browser. You don't need the app. You don't need to do any special thing. You don't have to sign up. You don't have to do anything. Just watch the show. That's how easy it is. It's just really simple. All right. You might have to sign in or sign up to like chat, but that's up to you, Telegram, you don't have to do anything. You just get in the chat on Telegram. You have to make an account, of course, and you watch the show. It's super simple. All right. Well, let's start at the beginning because that's always the best place to start. Antifa, completely dumb, made up stuff about Antifa and, being some kind of. I'm just today. I'm a little bit over the culture war, the fake culture war windup thing that's going on. That's kind of another reason why I want to stop streaming to Twitter, is because I don't want to support all the fake bot accounts on there that are like just stoking the culture war stuff. It's annoying. But what are you going to do? Somebody posts, this guy, ICE and Antifa clash in Portland. Stop calling protesters Antifa. You have no idea who these people are. Antifa is a myth that the government is using in a conspiracy theory designed to eliminate the opposition and create a dictatorship. True, true, true. This is fascism. Stop helping them. Exactly. I don't know. I don't know how seriously people are taking all this stuff. I mean, even watching this is not like some crazed situation where, oh my God, the city is falling apart. There's demonstrators, right? This happens all the time in cities. It's not the city falling apart, which is what they're trying to make it. All of this stuff is being used to usher in whatever Trump's, flaccid fascist state. Let's see, where are we? And again, there have been many instances where people were claiming that people posing as Antifa were getting in the way of like real organization, or were agent provocateurs, or were, stirring things up. And we don't know whether those people are government operatives or not, whether those are undercover agents. So, the Antifa thing is very dubious, extremely dubious. Fascist, yes. But it's got enough traction that, they're using it as a designation of like the bad people, whatever that means. I don't know. I'm having a certain level of frustration with everything today, because people are fighting over movements and words that they don't even understand the meaning of. And like, where do you start? I'm trying not to be just like upset and frustrated and just be pissed and call people names. I'm trying not to. Maybe, maybe trying to have a more in-depth, nuanced conversation around like what is really going on would be helpful, which is what I'm trying to do. But Trump says he will send troops to Portland, Oregon. Why? There's nothing happening in Portland, Oregon. Like there's nothing going on. There's nothing going on anywhere, honestly. Like everywhere that he has sent troops into, there's absolutely nothing going on, right? There's the regular level of, whatever crime that every city has or protests that every city has. There is nothing like out of control. There's nothing, oh my God, it's falling. Nothing is falling apart. Nothing is happening. You need to, see around this whole hallucination, if you will. I mean, this is classic narcissistic hallucination, right? Where somebody, if you've ever been in a relationship with a narcissist, they just make some shit up and say some shit to you about like, why are you doing this, or this thing is happening, and you're like, no, nothing's happening at all. And then they just start escalating. They were like, they escalate the whole thing. And if you buy into it at all, if you play the game or get into an argument, then you're helping to escalate the situation, which you don't need to do. You just be like, there's nothing going on. So you want to just stop doing that because, whatever. So the less energy we can give this, the more people can just call it out for the fakeness that it is. I mean, it's completely fake. There's no emergency. There's no crime emergency. All of this is an excuse to put troops into American cities and basically have troops stationed everywhere, and for everybody to get used to seeing troops everywhere, and for people to be asked for their papers all the time, or their, or to be scared about doing the wrong thing, or it's to quell dissent, protest, all those things, which is clearly a fascist thing to do, which you don't have to, continue to call these motherfuckers fascists, because that's what they are. Trump is a fascist. The entire administration is fascist. All this stuff is, about as clearly fascist as you can get. That is the correct definition for it. That is the correct word for it. And they're trying to make it seem like, well, if you're calling people fascists, it means you're inciting violence. No, you're not. You're not inciting violence. You're not saying, hey, go get these guys. No, just call them for what they are. Keep the climate stuff on YouTube for a few more months. I mean, maybe. I don't really do a lot of climate stuff. I mean, I do once in a while. We'll talk about a little bit. I mean, I don't know that it really does me any, if you guys watch me for climate stuff, I would be surprised. And I imagine that most of the people that don't watch me anymore don't watch me because I don't talk about climate that much. But again, I'm not leaving YouTube right away, but we're going to practice not being on YouTube. And it's as easy as opening a browser, typing in the address of the video you want to watch, and watching it. It's really not hard. It's going to be okay. Trust me. It's going to be okay. You have 2 friends killed in a car accidents by illegals. Portland City is truly is it unsafe, Timothy? Is it really unsafe? I don't know. I've been to Portland many a time. I don't. I've been in Portland, through Portland. Portland is a very quaint, lovely, chill city. There's no, it's a. I don't know. You'd probably. I just don't see it. I just don't see it. I don't see. I've been pretty much all of these cities that they're saying are completely crime riddled, and and sure, you don't want to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. That's true of any place in the world. Like, don't be in the bad neighborhood at 3 a.m. Try not to do that. That's just logic. But like, they're not. I can tell you, man, nobody's getting chased down or hurt or like, and accidents happen and bad shit happens. And is it really? I don't believe. Timothy, I don't believe it. I just don't believe it. I just don't believe it. I don't believe that Portland is some, insane crime riddled city. I don't believe it. Donald Trump said Saturday he will send troops to Portland, authorizing full force if necessary to handle domestic terrorists. Domestic terrorists, who are they? Where are they? Oregon Democratic Governor Tina Kotek responded by saying Trump is abusing his authority by ordering troops into a city that she said is doing just fine on its own. She was joined by other government, police, and business leaders who all said soldiers are not needed, and Trump is presenting a patently false picture of the city, which he is. It is false. It is not like, oh my God, It's not worse than LA or San Francisco, I can tell you. If there are parts you don't want to walk down the street because there's hella homeless people there shooting up drugs or just doing drugs out in the open. Like, yeah, where those places are, don't go there. But for the rest of the city, it's not like, oh, it's falling apart. It's not. It's just not. It is not. Not even Chicago, people. Like, I know Chicago. I've been to Chicago a billion times. I stayed in Chicago many times on the south side, walked around late at night on the south side. It is not fucking crazy. Yes, there are some places you don't want to go. There are some places you don't want to be. But I can tell you, Chicago is not like crime riddled, insane, no, I'm sorry. It's just not that crazy. Yeah, it's just not that crazy. It isn't. It isn't. It is not like insane. I've been to plenty of places in Chicago where people were like, well, I don't know if you want to go there at night. And I've been there at night and I'm like, what's happening? And everybody's like, hey, what's up? And I was like, where's all the craziness? I don't know. It's just not. It's just not. All of this is made up. This is all freaking made up. Made up shit. All of this is like stuff that is blown up on Twitter or blown up on Facebook or blown up on social media to make it seem like, oh my God, if you can't see that clear as day, that they're just like trying to make, something look like it's something. But if you're actually there and have like a clear mind and clear, like vision, you can see like, it is all for television. Oz says Trump is sending troops to Portland because Oregon is threatening to revoke the ICE jurisdiction, strictly a fascist response to state government. All right. I mean, that sounds about right. Well, and he's, like California has done something of the same, or it wasn't. I don't know about revoking the ICE jurisdiction, but they were saying there was like an unmask rule, which is completely, like they're not supposed to be running around unmasked and unidentified, arresting people, like grabbing people off the street. That is clearly unconstitutional. So they were trying to, or they did pass some kind of thing about ICE not being able to be masked up. I mean, Timothy, yeah, there are people that make YouTube videos about how crazy LA is. I can tell you, I live here. It's not that crazy. Yeah, there are parts that are, parts of downtown that are messed up, mainly because of the policies of what they, how they treat people and how they take care of people here. But I can tell you, the most of this, and yes, are there homeless people? Yeah, but like I can tell you, the city's not like falling apart. People aren't like, like you just use common sense and don't put yourself in stupid situations. But it's not like the city is very chill. Like LA is very, very chill. And I've traveled all around the country, and I can tell you for the, most every city I've been in, New York, Chicago, Atlanta, very freaking chill. Very freaking chill. Not, you know, it's not like crazed loonies running around, hijack, whatever. The only time I was ever mugged was in Berkeley, California. And it was because I was trying to buy drugs. I was very young. My fault for getting mugged in Berkeley, California, trying to buy drugs. No, I'm not on Odyssey right now, Malcolm. I'm just giving everybody I'm on all the regular places for a couple of days. I'm not going to change anything for like, I don't know, 2 or 3 days. Towards the end of the week, we will start slowly rolling out new things. So I will not leave YouTube this week, but probably I will be off of X and on Telegram. I will be off of Rumble and I will be on Odyssey. So that is my plan, is to kind of slowly move to some other places. So you can watch me on YouTube for the rest of the week. It's not, I'm just giving people lots and lots and lots and lots of run up room because I know that people get all nervous about it. But for the most part, not much is going to change, right? I'm just not going to be on X in a couple of days. I mean, I think that it's just every city has its issues, Look, man, I've been to Detroit, and you hear about Detroit being a terrible place. I've been all over Detroit, at all times of night. And I can tell you, it ain't that crazy. Detroit ain't that crazy. Actually, I love Detroit. Detroit is a great town. Yeah. Are there economic issues there? Heck yeah. Are there places you don't want to go late at night? Heck yeah. Is that true of every city? Yup. It's not crazy. It's not crazy. The thing is like, no, all of these issues could be taken care of people just actually doing their jobs, enforcing the laws that they're supposed to enforce, right? Taking care of the crime that they're supposed to take care of. It would be really helpful if the government would like fund fund some safety nets for the people, homes for the homeless, instead of taking all that money and laundering it, right? Instead of, bullshitting people over how much money they're really actually doing, putting into like homeless programs. If they would take care of veterans, if they would fund the VA, if they would fund, how about Medicare for all? How about, outreach for maybe teen drug users? How about, right? Like there's programs that are like that are available to people. There just should be more of them. The thing is the response to whatever is happening is just completely ridiculous and unwarranted. And probably isn't the results of whatever they're doing are probably not what they're telling you they are. I mean, you're not really hearing much about we see ICE or troops out there, but we're not hearing about like where they're going, the deportations, and like where are people at now, and like all of that has fallen out of the news. Are they still sending people to El Salvador? Are they sending people to Sudan? Are they sending people to Guantanamo? Are they sending people? Where are they sending people? Alligator Alcatraz was closed down. But we don't even know, there was also a story that Trump had deported less people than Biden had in the first 6 months of office. So, are all of the things that we're hearing even true? Like, a lot of this is absolutely fabricated. A lot of this is absolutely like pumped up. Like I said, like, I'm not saying that nothing happened in LA. I'm not saying that there weren't ICE people out there. I'm not saying that people weren't taken away and deported, or there weren't troops here. I'm just saying a lot of it is pumped up because I live in LA, and I've told you many times, I've been all over the place and never once, not one time, seen any ICE people ever. Not one tank, not one car, not one nothing. I'm not saying that didn't happen. I'm just saying it's so like I have not seen anything with my own eyes. And I'm not just like sitting in my house all day. Never getting out, never seeing never witnessing anything. I go out, I hang out, I see people, I go all over the place. I feel like it would be really hard if the presence was that, like huge, that most people would be like, oh, totally. Yeah, I totally saw that. Everything that I've seen has been on social media. So I'm like, how much of this is blown up to create this like existential crisis in everybody? And, a part of me is saying like, I'm guessing like a lot of it is blown up in order to create an existential crisis. So I feel like we should, just not take all of this just quite so seriously. Yes, is this the threat of Trump sending troops everywhere to like lock everything down? That should be taken seriously for sure, but call it out, and you got to just let people know like, hey, this is a bunch of bullshit. Like, don't buy into all the partisan like chaos that they're trying to generate. Just don't buy into it. It's not freaking necessary. Let's see. Malcolm says, my concern is consistency. I will only be Odyssey for you, so I won't get notifications. Just want consistency. I hear you, man. Yeah. Well, I'm going to trust me, I will give everybody plenty of notice. I'm not going to surprise anybody. I mean, the other thing to remember too is everything is running. Like, everything is running. The entire country is like running kind of normally, right? For the most part. Is there the threat of some kind of, God forbid, false flag calamity or some kind of bullshit that they're going to spring on people? Yeah, absolutely. There's a threat of that. Is there a threat of an economic meltdown? Absolutely, threat of that. But for the right now, like, just realize like everything is pretty much running like it's just you have to be of two minds, which is that, sure, they're trying to ramp some shit up and we should resist it, but we should also understand that there's a lot of business as usual, which means people aren't like totally engulfed in like, oh my God. And you shouldn't be. You should just resist what the fuck this is, because just call it out, call it for what it is. It's absolutely nonsense. Trump sending troops to Portland, absolutely stupid. Trump sending troops to Chicago, absolutely nonsensical. For what? For what? There's nothing going on there. There's nothing like, it's the usual level of like there's gang violence and stuff. Yeah, the usual level of like crime and violence. But are things, are people like out in the streets just going crazy? No, not at all. No, I'm sorry, it's not. That's not happening. I'm just, man, I'm tired of seeing all the like the ramping up of the culture war shit, and Twitter is a big culprit of that. Twitter is bad news for that. I urge people to freaking take a break from Twitter, you know, if you can. Like, yeah, I'm on Twitter pretty much every day, but at the same time, I'm like, I try to limit my exposure to Twitter, and I also try to limit my my emotional exposure to Twitter, right? My emotional investment in what's happening and what they're saying on Twitter. I just kind of like look at it and I'm like, okay, yeah, I see, the bots are out. The bots are heavy today. But just, you know, I think it's a good time to like reclaim your your life from if you're, if you're on social media at all, like you got to really like reclaim like your sanity and your balance of life without without being like really invested in what's going on with social media. I mean, there's lots of information, lots of things that are interesting, informative, things to look at on social media. It's all there, it's very entertaining, but just really, I also have plenty of moments where I'm just like, all right, like, all right. There's a couple of storms in the Atlantic. Humberto is a hurricane likely to bring dangerous surf to the East Coast this week, but it's probably going to steer away. Probably not going to get too close. Imelda is another one that's much closer to the U.S. But looks like it will also steer away. Sorry, there's no.
And Tropical Storm Imelda could bring dangerous conditions to the entire eastern seaboard as the week goes on. So let's bring in CBS News Philly meteorologist Grant Gilmore with another look at
I know, that would be great. They're not that far away.
Look, there was always a lot of uncertainty in how both of these systems were going to interact with each other and ultimately what that was going to do in terms of impacts for the United States. Let me show you the latest here as we pull up the satellite here. This is actually a view of both of these systems coming down from our satellites up in space. So we've got Humberto right here, Cat 4 hurricane, and then we've got what is now Tropical Storm Imelda. Both of these systems are slowly moving to the north. However, they are beginning to interact with each other just a little bit. I want to show you the latest run of one of our forecast models here. And this will show you where the potential track for both of these systems are going to go. Obviously up to the north. And then notice how Imelda just quickly turns to the right or turns to the east and goes away from the eastern half of the United States.
I know.
That's great news.
Ebola,
we're still going to
crazy.
see some impacts here from Imelda. In fact, we're beginning to see those impacts this morning. But I want to show you those official forecast tracks, again, from the National Hurricane Center. Just look how quickly, I mean, we're talking within the next 24 hours or so, Imelda is going to take a hard right turn and then quickly race out over into the central Atlantic. So why is that happening? Well, these are a couple of things that ultimately help steer where systems go, and that is these tropical systems like to take the path of least resistance. They don't like to fight up against high pressure systems or other elements in the atmosphere. So what we have here, we've got Hurricane Humberto. That is the stronger system right now. So watch as we plot the pressure around both of these systems. What's going to happen is the pressure from Humberto is going to begin to open up a door for Imelda to then turn to the right. So those two systems begin to interact. And there's an element of what you've heard as this Fujiwara effect, where two tropical systems begin to spin around each other. And that's what also Imelda is doing. It's starting to spin and turn toward Humberto. Ultimately, Umberto opens up the door to turn to the north and east, and then there goes Imelda, there goes Umberto. They're both racing out over the northeast, and then you've got this high pressure system nosing in from the north to block the eastern seaboard from any recurvature back to the west. Now, we're still going to see some impacts, mainly in the form of surf and dangerous rip currents. We could see some waves up along the southeastern.
Okay, that's all I can watch of this. But you guys got the picture. Well, it'd be interesting if they steered toward the U.S. It would also be interesting if they both, whiplash back towards Europe, which is a possibility. All right. Oh, I didn't really finish the story about Portland. Governor says the troops are not needed. We can manage our own local public safety needs. There's no insurrection. There is no threat to national security, which is, there's nothing going on there. It's ridiculous. This is an American city. We do not need an intervention. This is not a military target. I feel like that should be pretty freaking obvious. Trump, however, previously deployed Guard soldiers and active duty Marines in Los Angeles, even though Governor Gavin Newsom opposed it. The federal government is appealing a judge's ruling that Trump's use of the Guard was illegal, because it is. Kotek urged the public to stay calm, saying any kind of property damage or violence will not be tolerated. Let's not take the bait. He said, let's not respond to what the president is trying to do. Good advice. Where's the emergency? Asked resident Alan Schmertzler, 72, said he was disgusted by the president's decision. Another, John McNauer, 74, called Trump's statement ridiculous. He pointed out that he was taking a leisurely stroll along the river on a peaceful sunny day. This place is not a city that's out of control. It's just a beautiful place. Exactly. It's not chaos. It's not like, oh my God, it's ridiculous. Trump has also named Chicago and Memphis. Trump previously threatened to send the National Guard into Chicago, but has yet to follow through. There are ICE agents. There's ICE agents there. A deployment in Memphis, Tennessee is expected soon and will include only about 150 troops. Far less that were sent to the District of Columbia. Again, completely stupid and ridiculous over whatever. All of this is just generated nonsense. It's insane that this is even happening. There's no need for it unless you're trying to set up a situation where troops are just happen to be there for some kind of emergency, in which they'll declare martial law, and then they'll be like, oh, guess what? We're already here. Haha. In Memphis, about 80 to 100 people marched to the plaza in front of City Hall. Go away. To protest the expected arrival next week of the Guard. More than a dozen federal law enforcement agencies, ranging from immigration to drug enforcement. Protesters held signs with messages such as resources, not task forces. Thank you. And Memphis don't need no occupation. Memphis don't need no government control. A play on Pink Floyd's song, Another Brick in the Wall. Speaker said beforehand that instead of federal troops and agents, Memphis needs more funding for education, crime prevention, youth services, and hospitals. Correct. The Oregon officials made similar comments. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's so lame. Denver says it's a matter of precedent going forward for the next baton holder. Well, sure. Well, look at it's interesting because if you look at what happened with January 6th, kind of set the precedent, right? Like they had all those barricades in front of the White House, and they had National Guard camped out in DC after January 6th for a while. And it kind of like set a precedent for like, oh, we got to, if there's ever any trouble, we got to bring the troops in and make big ass barricades and, lock everything down. Like, so you're right. 'Cause, 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 That is what it is. Here is somebody taunted the ICE in Chicago and they couldn't catch him. This is funny. This is a Keystone Cops bit here.
Get him! What's that? What's that? Get him! What's that?
Well, yeah, it's all an overreaction to creative experiments. Yeah. Well, look at Obama when Occupy Wall Street was. I remember very clearly there was a big Occupy Wall Street encampment in Los Angeles, and Obama was president, and they just tore through that encampment. Like he sent, cops in. I don't know if they were troops, but they sent cops in, and they just beat heads. And they said, "Get out of here." So there's precedent. This is the scene in downtown Chicago right now, which is like a bunch of troops standing around for what? Or ICE officers, whatever they are. But for what? There's nothing happening. Like everybody's like walking around, people are driving to work, people are doing like, why are they there? What's the point of this? I know exactly where this is. Sorry. But what is the emergency? What's happening? I've been down this street like so many times. And I can tell you, it looks, just like any other day in Chicago, except for there's a bunch of people there. Like, what's the point? One second. Revolutionary Blackout says 33 people in the UK are arrested per day due to what they post on social media. This is by far the most in the world. Meanwhile, liberals never mention UK when they talk about fascist states. They post stuff like, what are we becoming, North Korea? No, motherfucker. How about you look in the mirror? I mean, this is what's happening in the US. Maybe people aren't being arrested, but they're having their jobs taken away if people don't like their posts, which is absolutely, bizarre to me. Palantir is the point. Yeah. Cosplay. Yep. Get 10 boosters. Meanwhile, yeah, Glenn Greenwald, there are a lot of people fired after Charlie Kirk's assassination for celebrating it, but there were also many people, perhaps the majority of those fired, who never even hinted at celebrating the killing, but merely expressed criticism of Charlie's views and ideology. And what, all of those things are covered by free speech. So nobody should ever be fired for saying like, I mean, you could find it distasteful. Maybe you could be like, okay, that was, a little out of hand or whatever, but fired? From Nico House, the beef is going. This is interesting. Libs of TikTok posted this. What the F? The ADL lists Charlie's Turning Point USA. Sorry for the noise. Where am I? Where'd I go? Oh, I see. No, that's not it. The ADL listed Charlie Kirk's Turning Point USA in their glossary of extremism and hate. That's interesting. There were also some shootings over the weekend. Again, I don't, I feel immediately like these are supposed to get people all up in their feels. Of course, tragic no matter what, but like what's really tragic is what? That's weird. What's really tragic is the fact that these things are happening, period. 2 deadly attacks over the same weekend shocked communities in Michigan and North Carolina and left the nation reeling. In North Carolina, a gunman in a small boat fired into a crowded waterfront bar, killing and injuring multiple people before being taken into custody. Less than 24 hours later, in Michigan, a man drove his truck into a Mormon church and opened fire with a rifle and set a fire inside the building. Again, 3 names. The suspects all have 3 names, and they're all, lone gunmen. 33. Yes. Yep. The timing of the 2 high casualty incidents within 48 hours naturally invites speculation about a possible connection. Law enforcement agencies in both Michigan and North Carolina, however, emphasize that there's no evidence the attacks were coordinated. Yeah. I did not actually have a lot of time to even look at what was going on with these. Because the news cycle is literally like so fast these days. So I just saw, I just had kind of seen out of the corner of my eye that both of these things had happened, but I, still gathering information on both of these events, which I think other people are doing as well. And of course, anytime stuff like this happens, it's, the best thing to do is not to jump to a conclusion about what is going on, but they seem to be the hierarchy enslaving you seem to be working overtime trying to get people off balance and emotional. Mossad working overtime, exactly, creative. The address, the rifle, the Kirk shooting was recovered. It's a 6-bedroom home owned by 683 Capital Management, one of the largest institutional holders of what? Are you serious? Wow, that's interesting, Denver. I mean, I don't believe a thing about, anybody talking about the Charlie Kirk assassination as if any part of the official story is real is just, I feel like you're just not even, you're either doing that intentionally or, anything you say should be absolutely discarded. Right. If you're not approaching that event as a completely generated, false flag event, none of the actors are real. None of the facts they gave you about it are real. All of it is a bunch of bullshit. So, they orchestrated it or took them out or whatever it is that they did. And, for the purpose of generating all this, stuff. And that's what they did. So, engaging with that story as if like you know, any part of it is something that you should, you know, react to emotionally is ridiculous. If you're on the right, you should be mad that they're manipulating you in such a way. If you're on the left, you should be mad that they're manipulating you in such a way. That's what you should be mad about. You shouldn't be mad about, you know, Charlie Kirk or the left killed Charlie Kirk, or, you know, you shouldn't be mad at that. You should be mad that they are manipulating you into being all like, what? Because that's the whole point. And once you look at it that way, then you can just go like, oh, that's an interesting thing that happened there that they created. I wonder, you know, who knows what the real story is. That's literally all you need to say about it. Like nothing else needs to be said. Nobody, you know, you don't have to look into the shooter or the facts or the, you know, we've already, I mean, that's how you establish that it wasn't a real thing. But I mean, it's just not a real thing. The more you look at the facts, the more you look at what is going on, the more you realize that like this is completely generated. So, I don't know what else to tell you. Denver says it's easier to see the big picture when you don't pay attention to what is easily heard and often repeated. Yeah. I'm not saying don't look at the facts, but I'm just not engaging with that story anymore on any level other than, you know, and you can talk about though, you know, you can talk about the angles and the guns and the, you know, the only way to talk about it is how ridiculous the story is, much in the way of like 9/11 or JFK. It's just the story is ridiculous. And the more you know about it, the more you see of it, the more the only conclusion to come to is, okay, this is not real. So why get enraged about anything about it other than they're trying to manipulate you? That should be the only enraging part. But that puts you on another emotional like wavelength, right? Videodrome, huh? I have to check that out. I've been watching a lot of like old movies. Right now I'm watching the original Manchurian Candidate. And did anybody go watch Snake Eyes? Supposedly Snake Eyes happened on September 10th. But it's interesting because the character that gets killed in the opening scene of the movie, his name is Charlie Kirkland. And he gets shot in the neck, right in the same place in the neck. So I went and watched Snake Eyes and I was like, okay, all right. It was an interesting movie. And it was basically about how a hit was put on somebody from the inside, in order to make something happen. But it's really interesting that his name is Charlie Kirkland. Soylent Green, the network is great. I love that movie. I'll have to go back and watch Soylent Green too. I think I'm gonna watch They Live pretty soon. Yeah, I've just been going back and watching all these older movies that had a lot of had a lot of interesting prescience in relation to what's going on today. And Costco has Kirkland stuff everywhere. Yeah, Kirkland. His name is Charlie Kirkland. You don't find that? Logan's Run. Oh, that's a good one too. Man, it's been a long time since I watched that one. So just remember, this is generated. This stuff is generated. This stuff is generated. This stuff is just made to get you all upset. This should really get you upset, though. James Lee, Daddy's home. Trump welcomes Netanyahu back to the White House. Why? Why is he back? Wasn't he just there? How many times has he been there this year? I feel like it's been like, what, 4 times already? How many times has Netanyahu been to the White House? Why is he always up in the White House? Oh, Rollerball. Yeah. Oh, I love that movie. Yeah. That was one of my favorites when I was a kid. What the? Let's see. How the this is good. How the F do people not watch this and say, why is Netanyahu addressing our nation again? And why is he saying he doesn't control Trump? Like, he tells us Israel definitely did not have Charlie assassinated. And now this. Listen to this.
President Trump has been an incredible ally of Israel, incredible friend. We've had no one like him. What he did in his first term in recognizing Jerusalem as our capital, moving the American embassy there, recognizing our sovereignty over the Golan Heights, getting out of the disastrous Iran deal. And then, of course, now joining us in the effort to prevent Iran from getting nuclear weapons by taking out some of these nuclear sites with us. I think it's great. I read somewhere this ridiculous.
This is the only person, the only situation that should really have you like, if you want to get emotional about something. This is it right here.
I mean, this ridiculous slide. President Trump does what he does because he decides what's in America's best interest. And I've said this often, you know, I don't decide a thing for President Trump. He is the most independent leader, an amazing leader that I've seen in all my years. And I think many people in the world see that. So the idea that I, in any ways that I boast that I control him, that's ridiculous. It's a lie. And I never, not only did I not say it, I don't think it. I think America is blessed with a very strong and independent leader.
It's just ridiculous when they say that I control Trump. I mean, it sounds ridiculous, but it's true. He does look a little like Alfred E. Newman. He's free. He's the freest. He's so free. Not like you soon, Netanyahu. Somebody's going to catch your butt and force your plane down. And you will be on a tarmac with handcuffs on. Future historians will understand that the key factor in the slide to authoritarianism in the U.S. was the complete absence of an opposition party. Instead, we have whatever this is. This is absolutely true.
Is there anything you can do to stop it, as in Congress?
Yes. First, we will fight it in the courts, along with, people who will file suits. But second, I would hope, Kristen, that some of our Republican colleagues, seeing I know they're loyal to Trump and does whatever he wants, but this is so far stepping over the line that I'd hope some of them would join us in legislation to prevent it from happening. We have such a proposal. I'm part of it.
Is there anything you can do to stop it, as in Congress?
Yes. First, we will fight it in the courts, along with, people who will file suits. But second, I would hope, Kristen, that some of our Republican colleagues, seeing I know they're loyal to Trump and
okay, the Democratic Party is absolutely useless, but don't blame them, blame yourself, because we let them become as rotten as they are. They're not going to do anything unless we force them to do something, because they are they're in power. And once you get in power, all you concerned with is keeping your power, staying in power, wielding your power, and amassing wealth. That's what people in power do, unless they are checked by the people. So unless we check them, nothing is going to change. So you can be mad at them if you want. Until you check them, nothing's going to change. Arnaud Bertrand, I don't think people are realizing what's happening with the global Samud flotilla. It's becoming extremely consequential. The flotilla is effectively escorted by multiple warships from 3 major countries, Spain, Italy, and Turkey. What happened to Greece? I thought Greece was in there. The warships are all nominally there to assist and rescue the flotilla in case shit happens. That's the official story, but they obviously have a very strong deterrence effect. So Israel will think twice before attacking. I frankly cannot believe that they wouldn't act if the flotilla gets attacked, as this would be a major PR disaster for the governments in question. Your own citizens, including some MPs, getting attacked by Israel in front of your eyes in international waters, and you watch it happen from your warship. Hard to see this happen. This is political suicide for a government. Not sure what's going to happen, but as far as I can see, there are 3 options. Israel doesn't attack. The flotilla reaches Gaza, which means the blockade is breached, and which is a major precedent. Israel attacks, and the warships of all 3 nations let it happen, which will create a major public opinion disaster. Israel attacks and the warships fight them, and you effectively have war between NATO countries and Israel. We'll see. Israel's not going to stop until somebody with guns and boats and planes and shit just says, all right, that's enough. So, unfortunately, that's what it's come to. They're not going to be just like, oh, okay, we'll stop. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Interesting. What else? I'm almost done, guys. If you want to support the show, you know how to do it. In the description box are a bunch of links. All the regulars are there. PayPal, Venmo, Cash App, Zelle, Buy Me a Coffee, Ko-Fi. There's a link tree on X. Thanks for watching, everybody. I think that's about it, actually. I'll be back tomorrow at the regular time of 12 Pacific. So until then, enjoy your day. Don't do anything I wouldn't do. Nanu, and all that kind of stuff. And peace out, and beware the bear.